Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! As pain nagged persistently at his lower back for weeks, Adam set aside his initial resistance and booked an appointment. Dr. Morgan is available today at 1:30, the caller announced brightly, as if bearing good news. Today's lunch hour? Sure, I can do that. Then he glanced at the calendar, confirming his engagement that night, a charity event of unmentionable variety for many of his peers. Months of preparation had gone into perfecting the Alana persona, and tonight would be the debut performance. The plan had been to leave work early, transform, and arrive at the venue with plenty of time for final preparations. The doctor's appointment complicated matters. There wouldn't be enough time to return home between work and the performance, nor would there be time to change after the appointment before returning to the office. A decision had to be made: cancel the long-awaited medical appointment or attend as Alana. The workday flew by in a blur of anxiety and second-guessing. During the morning break, a duffel bag containing the carefully selected outfit was retrieved from the car. Purple satin dress with an elegant sweetheart neckline, matching accessories, and the black stiletto heels that had required weeks of practice to walk in properly. The bathroom stall in the office building's least used restroom became an impromptu dressing room. Fingers trembled while applying foundation, contouring cheekbones that suddenly appeared more feminine with each brushstroke. The auburn wig, specially ordered to match a favorite aunt's natural color, cascaded in soft waves past the shoulders, completely transforming the reflection in the compact mirror. "You can do this," came the whispered self-encouragement while carefully applying a final coat of mascara.
"It's just a doctor's appointment."
The office building suddenly felt immense as heels clicked against marble flooring, echoing with each step toward the exit. The parking lot stretched out like an endless gauntlet. Every car window seemed to reflect the image of someone caught between worlds. Not quite Stephen anymore, but Alana wasn't fully realized either. The medical building loomed ahead, all glass and steel. Professional, clinical, judgmental? The thought of canceling flashed again, but the back pain chose that moment to send a sharp reminder of why this appointment couldn't wait. The reception area fell into a hush as the door opened. Several pairs of eyes lifted from magazines and phones, a few lingering longer than comfortable. "I have an appointment with Dr. Matthews," came the explanation, voice pitched slightly higher than usual. "Under Stephen Marshall." The receptionist barely glanced up. "ID and insurance card, please." After processing the paperwork, she handed over a clipboard. "Fill these out and bring them back when you're done. The doctor will see you shortly." The waiting room chairs suddenly seemed impossibly small. Would sitting cause the dress to ride up? Would the wig shift? The pain flared again, making these concerns secondary to the reason for being here. Medical history forms were completed with meticulous attention, though a moment of hesitation occurred at the gender checkbox. After a pause, both boxes remained unmarked. "Stephen Marshall?" The nurse appeared at the doorway, scanning the waiting room. Standing up required a moment of balance adjustment. The heels, while mastered for walking, still presented challenges when transitioning from seated to standing.
"That's me,"
came the reply, ignoring the surprised looks from fellow patients. The nurse, a young man with tattooed forearms, simply nodded. "Follow me, please." The familiar routine followed: weight, height, blood pressure. The nurse maintained complete professionalism, though his gaze lingered briefly on the wig.
"Doctor will be in shortly,"
he said, before exiting, leaving nothing but the sound of the examination table paper crinkling underneath. The room felt unusually cold, or perhaps it was just nerves. The purple satin offered little warmth, and goosebumps formed on exposed arms. The wait stretched into what felt like hours, though the wall clock insisted it had only been minutes. A soft knock preceded the door opening. Dr. Matthews entered, a woman in her 50s with steel gray hair pulled back in a practical bun and reading glasses perched on her nose as she reviewed the chart. "Mr. Marshall, I'm Dr. Matthews." She looked up, taking in the full appearance without a change in expression.
What brings you in today?
The moment of truth had arrived. Would she comment? Ask questions? Request an explanation? "I've been having lower back pain for about 3 weeks now. It started as a dull ache but has gotten progressively worse." Dr. Matthews nodded, making notes.
Any specific incident that might have
Triggered it? Fall, accident, unusual activity? Nothing specific. I work at a desk most days, but I've been trying to be more active recently.
Active how? New exercise routine? Sports?
Some dancing, actually. A flush of heat rose to the cheeks. I've been practicing for a performance. The stilettos suddenly seemed relevant to mention. And I've been walking in heels more than usual. Dr. Matthews glanced down at the black stilettos and made another note.
Those could certainly contribute to back strain, especially if you're not accustomed to them. Let's take a look at your back. You'll need to untie the back of your dress so I can examine the area properly.
The clinical approach was simultaneously reassuring and disappointing. Part of the anxiety had included preparing explanations that now seemed unnecessary. "Can you describe the pain? Sharp, dull, constant, intermittent?" "Mostly dull and persistent, but sometimes when I move certain ways, it's sharp." Dr. Matthews' hands were cool against bare skin as she pressed along the spine, asking about tender areas. "Take a deep breath in and out. Now bend forward slightly." The examination continued with professional detachment. Not once did she comment on the makeup, the dress, or the auburn wig that occasionally fell forward. "You've got some muscle tension in your lower back and slightly uneven hips, which suggests you might be compensating for the pain by adjusting your posture. The heels are probably exacerbating the situation." She made additional notes. "I'm going to prescribe some anti-inflammatory medication and refer you to physical therapy. I'd also recommend limiting your time in those particular shoes until your back improves." "Will I need to stop the dancing?" The performance was too important to sacrifice. Dr. Matthews finally looked up from her notes, making direct eye contact. "No, but you might need to modify some movements. The physical therapist can help with that. Dancing can actually be beneficial for back health when done properly." She tore the prescription from her pad. "For what it's worth, many performers deal with similar issues. Your health comes first, but I understand the show must go on." A slight smile softened her professional demeanor. The unexpected understanding was overwhelming. Tears threatened to ruin the carefully applied mascara. "Thank you, doctor." "Of course, that's why I'm here." She handed over the prescriptions. "Make sure to follow up if the pain doesn't improve within 2 weeks, and maybe consider a slightly lower heel for everyday practice." As she turned to leave, she paused at the door. "And good luck with your performance tonight." The walk back to the car felt lighter, despite the persistent back pain. Each click of the heels against the pavement reinforced a new confidence. The reflection in the car window showed someone becoming more comfortable in this skin. Auburn hair catching the sunlight, purple satin moving with each step. Return to the office required another decision. Remove the makeup and change back, or continue the day as Alana. The physical transformation had taken considerable time and effort, and the performance was only hours away. The office building appeared again on the horizon. Colleagues would stare. Questions would arise. Explanations would be necessary. But something had shifted during that doctor's appointment. A realization that professional interactions could transcend appearance. The elevator ride to the third floor felt endless. Each floor number lighting up brought another moment of doubt, another chance to exit and flee. But when the doors opened on 3, stepping out happened without hesitation. The marketing department fell silent as heels clicked across the tile. 20 pairs of eyes followed the purple satin dress to the cubicle in the corner. "Stephen?" The department manager appeared, confusion evident in her furrowed brow. "I prefer Alana, actually. At least for today." The words came out with unexpected ease. "I have a performance tonight and didn't have time to change between my doctor's appointment and coming back." Explanations followed. The charity event, the months of preparation, the scheduling conflict. Colleagues listened with varying degrees of understanding. Some nodded supportively, others maintained uncomfortable silence. "Well, as long as your work gets done, I suppose it doesn't matter what you wear." The manager's response was pragmatic rather than enthusiastic, but it was enough. The afternoon progressed with surprising normalcy. The marketing report still needed completion, the client still needed their questions answered, and the 3 p.m. meeting still dragged on too long. But something was different. The careful way of sitting to keep the dress properly arranged, the occasional adjustment of the auburn wig, the new perspective gained from seeing the workplace through Alana's eyes. By day's end, the initial discomfort had faded into something resembling routine. Logging off the computer, gathering belongings, preparing to leave. All actions performed countless times before, now with the soft rustle of satin accompanying each movement.
"Good luck tonight,"
called out a colleague who had shown particular interest in the charity event. "We might stop by to see the show." The venue was already bustling with activity when the purple satin dress and black stilettos made their entrance. Other performers were in various stages of preparation, some fully transformed, others just beginning their metamorphosis. "You're early!" The event coordinator checked Alana's name off the list. "And already dressed. Most of our performers are still getting ready." "I came straight from work," came the explanation, followed by a brief account of the day's events. The coordinator laughed. "You went to a doctor's appointment like this? That's dedication!" It turned out to be less dramatic than I expected. She was completely professional. That's how it should be. The coordinator handed over a program. "You're on after the intermission. Dressing room 3 is yours to touch up in." The dressing room mirror revealed what a day of wear had done to the careful morning makeup application. Foundation needed refreshing, lipstick had long since faded, and the mascara had smudged slightly beneath the eyes. But looking past these imperfections, the reflection showed someone transformed not just externally, but internally as well. This person with auburn hair cascading past shoulders, with carefully contoured cheekbones, and eyes accentuated by shadow and liner, in a purple satin dress that caught the light with each breath. This was Alana. Not just a character for a performance, but a part of identity previously kept hidden. The back pain flared again, a reminder of the day's catalyst. The doctor's prescription remained unfilled, but could wait until morning. Tonight belonged to Alana, discomfort notwithstanding. Other performers filtered in and out of the dressing room, offering compliments and asking about the purple dress, the auburn wig, the makeup techniques. Shop talk filled the air, discussions of padding techniques, voice training, the challenges of walking in heels for extended periods.
"First time performing?"
asked one veteran, applying a fourth set of false eyelashes with practiced precision.
"First time in public," came the reply. "I've practiced for months, but never actually gone out like this before today." "Well, you picked a hell of a day to start. Work, doctor's appointment, and now a show? That's jumping into the deep end."
The observation brought a laugh. I didn't really plan it that way. The best things in life are rarely planned. The veteran performer stepped back to admire his completed look.
"Sometimes you just need to be pushed off the cliff to discover you've had wings all along."
The stage manager appeared at the door.
15 minutes to intermission, folks. Everyone performing in the second half should be ready to go."
Nerves returned full force, momentarily overshadowing even the back pain. The carefully rehearsed routine played through the mind. Each step, each gesture, each beat of the music.
"You'll be wonderful,"
encouraged another performer, seeming to sense the anxiety. "First shows are scary, but the audience at these charity events is always supportive." The intermission came and went too quickly. Backstage, the lineup of performers adjusted costumes, checked makeup one final time, and wished each other luck. The purple satin dress suddenly felt too tight, the black stilettos too high. "And now, making her debut performance, please welcome to the stage, Alana!" The spotlight was blinding, the applause deafening. The first steps onto stage were tentative, but as the music began, muscle memory took over. The months of practice manifested in fluid movements, in confidence that grew with each measure of the song. From the corner of the stage came a glimpse of the office manager and several colleagues, their faces showing surprise and appreciation. They had actually come to show support. The routine concluded to enthusiastic applause. The bow was graceful, despite the back pain that protested the movement. The exit from stage was filled with a euphoria that transcended physical discomfort. "That was amazing!" The stage manager gave an approving nod.
"Hard to believe that was your first performance."
"Thank you." The words came breathlessly, adrenaline still coursing through veins. The remaining performances passed in a blur of color and sound. The finale brought all performers back to stage for a final bow and fundraising announcement. The charity had exceeded its goal, thanks to the generous audience. As the crowd dispersed and performers began the process of removing their stage personas, a decision crystallized. The purple satin dress would not be packed away. The auburn wig would not return to its stand. The carefully applied makeup would be refreshed, not removed. The doctor's waiting room, the office, the stage. Alana had navigated all these spaces in a single day. Each environment had presented its own challenges, but also its own affirming moments. The doctor's matter-of-fact acceptance, the colleagues who showed up in support, the audience's enthusiastic response, all pointed to a path forward. The back pain that had prompted the day's unusual chain of events now seemed almost fortuitous. Without it, this day of discovery might never have happened. In the dressing room, other performers were reverting to their daily personas, removing wigs, changing into street clothes, wiping away the layers of foundation and contour.
"Aren't you changing?"
asked one, noticing the lack of activity.
"No,"
came the reply, simple but resolute. "I think I'm done changing for today." The decision felt right, profound in its simplicity. Tonight would not be the end of Alana, but rather the beginning. The auburn hair caught the light as the dressing room was tidied, supplies packed away, goodbyes exchanged with newfound friends. Outside, the night air was cool against bare shoulders. The car waited in the parking lot, just as it had outside the doctor's office hours earlier. But the person who approached it now moved with newfound confidence, despite the persistent back pain and the hours spent in stiletto heels. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, prescriptions to fill, explanations to provide, decisions to make about how to move forward. But tonight had proven that being Alana was not just possible, but right. The reflection in the car window showed someone transformed, not just by the purple satin dress or the auburn hair, but by the experiences of the day. The doctor had seen past the exterior to address the medical need. Colleagues had adjusted their perceptions. Audiences had applauded not just the performance, but the courage it represented. The drive home followed familiar streets that somehow looked different through Alana's eyes. The apartment building that had only ever welcomed Stephen now beckoned to someone new, or perhaps someone who had been there all along, waiting for the right moment to emerge. The key turned in the lock, opening the door to a space that would need to accommodate this evolution. The closet, with its rows of button-down shirts and slacks, would require reorganization. The bathroom, with its masculine grooming products, would need additions. The black stilettos were finally removed, providing immediate relief to aching feet. The purple satin dress was carefully hung up, not discarded. The auburn hair was gently brushed out and placed on a dedicated stand, ready for tomorrow. The back pain remained, a reminder of the day's catalyst and the physical therapy appointments that lay ahead. But even this discomfort carried a new significance. Without it, this day of transformation might never have occurred. Morning would bring new decisions, but one had already been made. The doctor had seen Alana and provided care without judgment. The office had adjusted, however awkwardly, to the change. The stage had welcomed the performance with enthusiasm. Each of these environments had reinforced a simple truth. Being Alana felt right in a way that being Stephen never had. The makeup came off slowly, revealing the face beneath. But rather than feeling like a return to another identity, it felt merely like Alana without cosmetics. The essence remained unchanged by the removal of the external enhancements. Sleep came easily despite the day's emotional and physical exertions. Dreams featured not the anxiety that had dominated the morning, but the confidence that had grown throughout the day. Dawn brought clarity with its first light. The back pain persisted, a reminder of the physical therapy appointments that needed scheduling. The prescription waited to be filled. The workday loomed ahead. The closet stood open, presenting its options. The row of button-downs and slacks on the left. The few dresses and blouses that had been secretly acquired over time on the right. The choice was made without hesitation. Not the purple satin. That was for special occasions. But a modest black dress, professional and appropriate for the office. The auburn hair was carefully positioned, makeup applied with growing confidence. The mirror reflected someone who was no longer caught between worlds, but had chosen one definitively. Not Stephen attending an appointment as Alana, but simply Alana. The physical therapy clinic was first on the day's agenda. The prescription clutched in hand. Black dress smoothed nervously. Auburn hair tucked behind ears. The waiting room presented the first test of this new normal. "I have a referral from Dr. Matthews," came the explanation to the receptionist, who took the paperwork with professional detachment.
"Fill out these forms, please. Your therapist will be with you shortly."
The clipboard presented the same gender checkbox dilemma as the day before. This time, there was no hesitation. The box marked female received its checkmark. Alana? The physical therapist appeared at the door, a young woman with an athletic build and a welcoming smile. That's me. Standing was easier without the stilettos, though the back pain remained. I'm Denise. Come on back and we'll get started. The examination room contained none of the previous day's anxiety. The explanation of the back pain, the demonstration of movements that triggered discomfort, the therapist's assessment, all proceeded with routine professionalism. Dr. Matthews mentioned you're a performer? Denise demonstrated a stretching technique. What type of performance? Drag, actually, though there was a pause, a moment of consideration. I'm beginning to think it's more than just performance for me. Denise nodded without judgment. Well, regardless of your reasons, these heels you mentioned aren't doing your back any favors. I'm going to show you some exercises that will help strengthen your core and improve your posture. That should help whether you're in heels or flats. The session continued with demonstrations and practice of various stretches and strengthening exercises. Denise provided a printed guide for daily practice at home. Come back next week and we'll assess your progress. In the meantime, try to limit those high heels to special occasions until your back is stronger. The office presented the next challenge. Yesterday's impromptu appearance had generated surprise, but today's deliberate choice would make a statement that couldn't be misinterpreted. The elevator ride felt familiar now. The marketing department's hush upon entrance was expected. The black dress and auburn hair moved confidently to the same cubicle in the corner. The department manager appeared, just as she had the day before. Alana, could I see you in my office, please? The conversation that followed was predictably awkward, but ultimately productive. Questions about professional appearance guidelines, explanations about personal identity, discussions of how to communicate the change to clients and colleagues. So this is permanent? The manager's question cut to the heart of the matter. Yes, this is who I am. The words emerged with a certainty that until yesterday had been elusive. Well, we have policies about inclusion and diversity. I'll need to speak with HR about the specifics, but as long as your work continues to meet our standards, your personal expression is your business. She paused. I just wish you had given us some notice. It all happened rather suddenly. Yesterday's doctor's appointment was actually a turning point for me. The manager raised an eyebrow. A doctor helped you decide this? Not directly, but her complete professionalism, treating me without judgment or comment about my appearance, it helped me realize I could navigate the world as Alana and be taken seriously. The workday proceeded with curious glances and whispered conversations, but also with surprising moments of normalcy. The reports still needed completion. The clients still needed their questions answered. The 3 p.m. meeting still dragged on too long. By day's end, a new routine had begun to establish itself. The auburn hair occasionally needed adjustment. The black dress required a different way of sitting than slacks had. But the work itself remained unchanged. Colleagues who had attended the previous night's performance offered compliments. Others maintained a cautious distance, unsure how to navigate this change. A few approached with questions, some more tactful than others, but all indicating an attempt to understand. Home again, the apartment no longer felt like a space divided between two identities. The closet reorganization began in earnest, clothing sorted not by gender, but by occasion and season. The bathroom cabinets rearranged to accommodate an expanded beauty regimen. The back pain had lessened slightly, thanks to the morning's physical therapy and conscious attention to posture throughout the day. The black dress was hung up carefully next to the purple satin. The auburn hair was placed on its stand, awaiting tomorrow. The mirror reflected someone becoming comfortable in her skin, someone who had navigated doctors' offices, physical therapy clinics, professional workplaces, and performance stages in the span of 2 days. Each environment had presented its own challenges, but also its own affirmations. Dr. Matthews had provided care without judgment. Denise had offered practical guidance for physical well-being. Colleagues were adjusting, however awkwardly, to the change. The stage had welcomed the performance with enthusiasm. Each of these experiences had contributed to the growing certainty that being Alana was not just a role to be played, but an identity to be lived. The back pain that had started this journey had become more than a medical concern. It had become the catalyst for transformation. Without it, the doctor's appointment would never have been scheduled. Without the appointment, the courage to step into the world as Alana might never have been found. Sometimes the most profound changes begin with something as mundane as back pain and a scheduling conflict. And sometimes the most authentic self is discovered not through careful planning, but through the unexpected convergence of circumstances that force us to see ourselves from a new perspective. The purple satin dress hung in the closet, a reminder of the performance that had seemed like the culmination of something, but had actually been just the beginning. The black stiletto heels stood beside more practical shoes, reserved now for special occasions until the back was stronger. And the auburn hair caught the last light of day as it rested on its stand, waiting for tomorrow, the next chapter in Alana's story.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!